that ideology. So that's something that that's likely to happen. And that's why as parents, we need to take responsibility of this, because confidence is a trait from fathers.
It's a trait from the
Fathers. Not from others, it's fathers. Let's come back and let's do this parenting together, because their role is very, very important within child development. Yeah. So basically that is one of the things. Of course, mothers also play their own unique role. I've always said mothers do the concept of, mothers do emotional development. They greatly support in that area. So when you find any child who is struggling with mommy issues, right? Their anger issues, that's a mommy gap. Okay. So yeah, I cover that in, by the way, in the book, The Power of the Soul, the real role of the true identity of a woman, because society has never been clear about it. We know the woman as for child rearing and this, but it's deep, it's emotional empowerment. Then the father is confidence enhancement. So those are the different roles these people play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about values. I believe beauty is more of, you say it's something that is inside. It is not really outside. It's not what people talk about, what society really terms it to be.
True.
So how can I activate these values inside me? Because you just mentioned of a mother who keeps abusing this child, right? And I can attest to that. When my mother always mentioned it, I remember as early when I was 9 years old, she always mentioned it that I'm beautiful. So I grew up with it, knowing that I'm actually pretty. And I will fight with anyone who tells me that I'm not beautiful, because she will literally mention it. This part of your body, this part of your body, this one is nice, and she would say they're perfect. So right now, if somebody tells me this is not good, I will say it's perfect because I grew up with it. True. So this was mommy talking to me. But today we have a lot of societies who abuse people, even up to the extent of naming them. Okay, let's say I have a gap in my teeth. They start calling me using that. Maybe they feel a child has a big head. They start calling them using it. How do we instill these values in the society?
Okay. Now, I always say change begins with one person. Change begins with one, right? If I do something different, my neighbors will be able to see. True. My community starts feeling it. Can you be that first person who starts affirming your children? Okay. What conversations do you have with them? Number two, laying a very clear boundary. In my home, when you come here, you're not going to compare people. Right? You look at that child. She's very slender. Look at this child. She's very pretty. You know, in my culture, in my language, when they see a light-skinned woman, they say she's clean. Okay. Clean. You know. Wow. And so in Kakwa, they say nake lepe nake. She's clean. So that already gives you an opposite. What's the opposite of clean? Dirty. And who is dirty? You already know. You know, they're talking about me, who is the dark skin. Can we have a clearly define some of these things? Okay. How are we going to speak? Because it's just not killing someone's individual thing, but it's killing deep to their dreams. And then, of course, starting to affirm yourself. How do you speak to yourself? I have a little book called Affirmation for the Melanin Girl, the right way to speak to yourself. Now, you speak to yourself based on what you have heard. For example, you just told me your mom affirmed you and told you you're pretty. And so you know that you're pretty. But there's someone who has never told that. Yeah, sure. Or sometimes someone never told you, but because you've watched so many movies, so it's instilled in you that you're not good enough. So the right way to speak to yourself just guides you there. How do you speak to your body? How do you speak to yourself concerning age? That's the concept of ageism. People fear aging as well. Exactly. Yeah. How do you speak to yourself concerning your color and all these kind of things? So learning to affirm yourself. I am beautiful. I am good. Okay. Of course, initially, when you're going to begin, there's going to be a lot of resistance. Your mind is going to say, hell no. Have you seen the magazine? Do you qualify? Because your mind is used to the old story. It has had 0 to 7. And remember, the foundation is the key. But then we need to go back and you start reaffirming yourself. Okay. Yeah.
Now, I remember you mentioned something about the media. What role does media play in creating self-acceptance?
The media is, it's actually the biggest platform right now, worldwide. Just not right now, it's been for ages. Now today you can see as early as kids are introduced to cartoon, I don't know, even as early as months old, right?
Yeah, sure.
And information has been passed to this child in their mind. There's something being said. What are you giving? Are you regulating that? Right? So you need to go back and start regulating that from there. What are these children watching as early as that year? And I'm encouraging a lot of black people to get into the concept of content creation, but let it just not be for leisure. Can we deliberately create content which is to empower society? I've seen a lot of our components actually disempower. Now, when you see, for example, let's look at an empowered woman according to our movies, right? When she has the money, she's arrogant.
Yeah, sure.
So now men fear empowered women because there's the perception she's going to override me. Who instilled this? Check most of the movies, black movies. That's the concept we put in. We have shown a lot of our content has, I want to say that we have probably ignored some key things. I remember I attended a filming training one time, and one of the things that came to me was the filming industry or even the media is a space of manipulation. We want to build a certain mindset for you.
Why do you say so?
Because everything you see, you become.
Okay.
Everything I see, I become. Everything I hear, I become. The more I hear it. Remember when you hear something for the first time, you're going to resist. You're like, But with time you start, the more you hear it, it starts getting familiar.
Yeah, sure.
You've been hearing a song, it looked boring. After the second, third, fourth time, you're like, the lyrics are start singing, going on your head. So the more you hear something, it becomes familiar. It starts getting to be ideal. It starts getting normal. So that's why the African community, more especially, we need to be deliberate in content creation. Can we empower young people? Can we show them that it's possible? Can we stop just, showing that money can be go through witchcraft? Can we get out of this thing? Can we give the dark-skinned girl an opportunity to be the princess?
Okay.
And she has to be the good one or the good queen, not the uncultured one. So until we start changing these trajectories.
So what you're saying is that the media has actually been putting people down rather than promoting
So much more. Actually, I think I made a post on the socials a few days. I said the African media has done more harm than the colonial masters.
Wow.
Because the colonials left, but they left it in our hands. Now, unlike the rest of the races in the world, it's only Africa that has a diversity. We have about 7 shades of colors in Africa.
Okay.
But the rest of the nations have few, right? Other continents, they have maybe it's a particular color, it's white, that, right? But when you come to Africa, we have the dark skin, the totally melanin, then there is it starts shading off until a lighter shade. But now, we don't recognize certain colors. We chose particular colors, and we have left up the shade. And do you know how many how many continents have dark-skinned people? Absolutely dark-skinned. There are about 8. They call it, most people refer to South Sudanese. Uganda has it. We have it. Uganda has it. South Sudan has it. There are 8 other countries within Africa that has the same dark-skin color. How many are recognized? They're not recognizing them.
They are not recognized.
Yes. So that means we have to be deliberate because when you look at the Europeans, their media is attributed to them. So when they put the white girl, for them it's white.
Yeah.
But for us it's a different story.
True.
We're different. Can we give everyone an equal platform? Whether it's a dark-skinned girl, whether it's the lighter-shaded person, can we stop the colorization? Can we start a bodyism, where we're now putting an ideal body has to be this? I followed these other European media for a while. I want to call it that way. You'd see that they recognize literally every body shape.
Okay.
Now, when they're putting let's say someone is a bit chubby in our movies, he has to be comic. Yeah. It is body shaming. So we are putting the wrong information always. So the person who has unique abilities, maybe someone is a dwarf, they're putting him to act the wrong spaces. Yeah, it's always comic. So people start seeing them from that angle of, you're not good enough, you're not qualified, you're not pretty, because that is the projection. Remember what you see, you become. Yeah.
You're actually right, because they put the whites in their movies, they put these people as the protagonist or as the main character that they're promoting. This one actually is also a human being.
Exactly.
Has not to be shamed or has nothing wrong with them.
Exactly.
They normally say what disability is not inability, but what do you think the future holds for Africa concerning this?
The future is bright. More especially, I've been watching on the media, I've seen a lot of advocacy coming up. I actually saw a lady who said the dummy has been on TikTok. She talked about that the industry is, the fashion industry is too bodyistic, right? Should I call it like that?
Okay.
Because they chose the dummy has a particular body shape. It's the slim, it's the hourglass. I said, like, include us, we'd also give us the space. The more we have people who start noticing some of these things and they speak, then the society is going to embrace.
Okay.
Having advocacy today, like the opportunity of giving us to speak about this, I think 1 or 2 people might have been enlightened to say, wow, this has been a real factor. I didn't know I used to say like this. I remember one time I gave a speech at one gathering, and this person said, but I didn't know what I was speaking was this affecting people. You get it? There's a lot of ignorance within, but such kind of information keeps enlightening us. And I see the for Africa, future's bright.
Okay.
And seeing a lot of people rising to challenge this, the different voices within the community trying to stand up. And I always say there's no one going to defend you apart from you.
Okay.
There's no one coming to stand for your community apart from you. So that's why we have to be deliberate also in whatsoever we do, whether it's the content creation or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I want us to talk about you. I've seen what you put on your status, say no to bodyism, say no to colorism, and you have some other things that you put. I think you also do yoga, right?
It's just not, I don't want to call it yoga, it's a meditation.
Okay.
Now, I do subscribe to the Christian spirituality, all right? There's the Christian spirituality. And by the way, spirituality is just not religion. It's deeper than religion. It's having a personal relationship with God. And so when you look at the meditation, most people have attributed it to the yoga. Yeah. That's the most common thing. Remember I told you the more an idea comes forth more from someone, it becomes known for it. True. So why yoga is known as, it's called yoga because the Hindu community has embraced it much more. And so they've been putting it out there more and they get known. They got known for it. So when you look at the concept of Buddhism, it's embracing the world beyond the body. Because we talked about the concept of an ideal body, right? Yes. How a man is supposed to look like, how a woman is supposed to look like. So when we talk about Buddhism, it's allowing people to thrive beyond their bodies. Yeah? Don't look at me because I'm slender. Stop looking at me because I don't possess what you think I should possess. First of all, I'm not you. Exactly. You're projecting yourself on me. Yeah? And then number 2, there's the concept of an ideal skin color. Now we all know white is the ideal skin color. That's the highest bar. But now if you're a cousin, you're lighter shaded, you're okay. But remember, we don't also blame the white community. I've always said this, whoever gets to discover themselves first rules the world. Okay. When you look at washing detergent, there's a common one we know called Omo, right? When you say Omo, go to a shop, say Omo, they'll give you even any other. Yeah. Because they came first. Now, the white race became more vocal. They became the ideal. Males knew themselves first. They became ideal. Yeah. So we can't keep judging people and say, you know, these people. It's not them. It's just that we didn't speak up at the right time. So now the ideal color is that, but you also have other colors within. Okay. Can we recognize them? It's okay for me to be dark-skinned. Being dark-skinned doesn't mean I'm dense. Being dark-skinned doesn't mean I'm ugly. Being dark-skinned doesn't make me less. So it's embracing everybody despite their color disparity. Okay. And then there's the concept of age. Now that is actually worse for women. After 25, it's hard to say the age again. You want to be 25 or 20, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because we're being told that we fed off. We fed off with age. And so a lot of women now start fighting each other. Actually, it's could be indirect in the workplaces. You always see females, there's a friction in between them. Yeah. When a younger person comes, and sometimes there's that bit of emotional, you know, responses they bring out. But why? Because maybe this person entered and she was maybe when she was younger than me. How could she get a job when she's young? You get it? Yeah. So that gets to me as an individual. Why? Because I've been mentioned at an ideal age. I've been told that I'm going to expire at one age. I've been told that at a certain age I'm going to be off the market, right? So people attribute age to a lot of bad things, disability, those wrong negative things, and now they fear aging. But I realize that age is a number.
Age is a number.
Age is experience. Age is actually you become better. You know, by the time you have experience in something, your payment is actually keeps going higher because you have an experience. So that is what age is supposed to be. But a lot of people have instead become, they've coiled with age. And now after 50, they're frustrated. So ageism, we're looking at a space where people thrive beyond their age. Okay. When you look at it, there's the story of the founder of KFC, who started at 62. Now, he beat the odd of age. He retired, he didn't have anything, and he starts at 62. Now, society would say he's the evening of his life, right? Yeah, sure. But he began there, and he died a very successful man. So can we stop limiting people based on age? Allow them to thrive. If I'm 50 and I want to start over again, it's okay. Can I start my relationship at any age? Because I've been told, you know, get married at 25. But now people are getting married at 25, and, you know, at that moment, there's a lot of pressure, more especially that comes to women, and it's usually the wrong choices. So can we get to embrace age and just not use it and set mental alarms? You see, most of us operate there. There's a lot of mental alarms within us. You know, at this age, I need to get married. By this age, I need to have built my house by this age. And by the time you reach that age you've not achieved, you're likely to die.
And that's where frustration,
depression, and all these things come in. So can we get off the limitations? Because those three factors are the deep limiting beliefs for people: age, body, and a color. Okay. So that's why I stand against them, and I was like, no, let's say no to ageism, let's say no to bodyism, let's say no to colorism. And colorism, one of the greatest advocacy I'm seeing is the dark skin. We also talk about the groups albinism, the people who are albinos. That's also another category we consider. Can we see these people as people?
Even these.
Then there is vitiligo. There's also another one called vitiligo. These ones, they get patches on their skin. You could have been dark skinned, then your skin starts shedding off, becoming white. Okay. Yeah, it's a new condition that has been, it's yet new, kinda. Then it starts removing off part of your skin. Okay. Then you start getting white. Now, some of these people also, people start isolating them. True. But can we look beyond the color? Because whatsoever is in me is deeper than this physique you see. True. Yeah.
Okay, the real you is deeper than the physical that we are seeing. True. Now, we talk real talk here. Say no to colorism, say no to bodyism, and say no to ageism. Yeah. Copied from our guest here, Dola Winfred. And this is the Real Talk Show at West Nile TV. Let's have a short break and we'll bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Chichi? Nsasula emyezi 3 n'empangula. Hey! Ha!
Abaye, kubadde ki?
Subscribe for 3 months to any package of your choice or grab an Azam TV kit and pay for 3 months and stand a chance to win life-changing rewards. Android smart TVs, fridges, motorcycles, and that is not all. You could walk away with free subscription or the grand prize of 20 million Ugandan shillings in cash. Yes, 20 million grand prize. Subscribe today and enter the draw. For more information, 031 2308 900 or visit any Azam TV dealer near you.
Azam TV, entertainment for everybody. In the dance of shadows and light lies the heart of Uganda's resilience amidst the challenges of the night, where innovation meets necessity and education refuses to be dimmed, where connection thrives in the absence of power. Embrace the power of the sun with StarTime's solar range of solutions and empower your journey towards a brighter tomorrow. StarTime Solar. Power your life.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
to the Real Talk Show at West Nile TV, channel 477 on StarTimes Uganda and channel 0073 on Zuku Satellite and Azam TV, channel 369. Here we are with Gala Winifred, and we're talking about embracing yourself beyond the look. What defines your beauty? What is it that is inside you that needs to be brought out for the society to embrace it, that you are beautiful, or else for yourself actually to embrace it as well, to say, yes, I am beautiful. We had actually unpacked a lot about this topic, but we are still talking, we are still continuing. And you can get to our social media because we are live there. You can ask questions, and you can also comment there, because in the last segment we will be tackling those questions and also your comments. Now, welcome back.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, actually we broke off when we were on a very sensitive topic, and I want us to delve into another one. We talked about colorism, bodysm, ageism, and you normally talk about something called nourishing your soul, your body, and right?
Yeah. Yeah, the spirit, soul, and the body. Yeah.
So how do you bring that into accepting oneself?
Okay. Now, your soul, a human being is three in one, right?
Yes.
There is a spirit, the soul, and the body.
Yes.
Now, these are totally three different avenues, and they are fed differently.
Okay.
But what rules your life is the soul. So, depending on how you feed it, remember there's a feeding for all of them, right?
Yeah.
The body has its own feeding, which is what you eat, what the dieting and all the physical food you do,
Yes.
the exercises that feeds the body. But you can also feed your soul. Now, the soul is where the issues come.
Okay.
The soul is fed by words. You can also feed your spirit.
Yes.
Now, every crisis happens to your soul. Everything that happens to you is registered in your soul. And that your soul materializes into the world. Who you are today is what is in your soul.
Okay.
I remember, of course, the soul is the mind, the emotions, and the will. The three guys, these three guys, they make who you are.
Okay.
Yeah. So one can decide, okay, I'm going to do the mind. For example, of course, with what you watch now, remember your eyes, the body feeds the mind. You've watched a movie.
Yeah.
Now you start distinguishing from the soul. Some things, the soul now registers, okay, this is beautiful, this is not beautiful. Your soul picks that and registers it. And so it starts giving you results and starts processing the right emotions for how you're supposed to feel. And so that's why soul healing is now very, very key, because the crisis happens in there. Now, when you look at the concept of a body makeup, or let's talk of an identity crisis, I want to call it generically as an identity crisis. It is in the soul, it's not in the body. You feel it on your body, but it's embedded in your soul. That's why I told you it keeps moving. It's not telling you it's the head, okay, it's not telling you it's the cheeks, it's not telling you it's the back, it's telling you this. So all this is embedded in your soul.
The soul.
So by the time the soul has a crisis, now it starts exhibiting an identity crisis.
Okay.
Now an identity crisis where you start struggling with your body, you're struggling with your skin color, you're struggling with your body type, with your age and all those things. Then it can also cross to a purpose crisis. This is now why you don't know the reason of existence. You know, there are people who now start, okay, let me marry the first woman, maybe it will make me feel better. Let me marry the second man, you are just looking for the reason of existence, the purpose. Maybe if I have children, I'll feel better. But the more you do this, there's still no fulfillment.
Yeah.
That is the purpose crisis, because you're trying to understand why you're here. And there's also the relational crisis, how you relate with people. Now, you meet your spouse, you can't stay well. You've dated 15 men and it's
still not working.
All not working. Every day you're meeting the wrong ladies. It's now not about them, it's about you.
Yeah.
Or it's about me as an individual. So there's a crisis in that, and all these are soul crises. So when I talk about the soul healing, it is not to liberate you from this, because you will never go past your soul. As long as your soul has not allowed, you'll not exhibit it in your physical body.
Wow.
So that's why your appearance, you first have to go back inwardly and check. How do I feel about me? When did this begin? How do I heal myself? Then you can get to fully embrace yourself. Otherwise, it's going to be like, I always call it a lip service, right? I'm beautiful, I'm beautiful. Then you get back inside, you're shrinking. Like, guys, so-and-so was looking better than me. Then you're trying to get clothes like hers. You're trying to change your bodies. Now, remember, people are doing body transformations to look like. Actually, when I thought about skin transformation, that question left me stagnant. Whom do you want to look like? When my mind asked me that question, I stopped. Because I didn't want to look like someone. I don't want to rewrite someone's story. My ancestry is dark skin.
Okay.
Now, when I change and become lighter shaded, I am following somebody's ancestry. And so, when I asked myself, who do you want to look like, I had to stop. Right? That's where it comes from. So this comes from embracing that person. But then you can best know yourself based on your spirit. What does your religion say about you?
Okay.
Now, if you do not have a clear definition of what your faith says about you, then you're going to be in a crisis. Now, what I want to know about West Nile TV, I'm not going to ask a random person in the streets. I'll come here. I can ask you, who already have, you have a clue, right?
Yes.
Now, a lot of us are picking identities from random people who you don't know. You're just finding a passerby and says you have a big head. You're like, oh my God, my head is big, and you start shrinking. So your spirit being now, your spirituality helps define you better.
True.
Based on God's ideology of who you are. He's the creator. He knew when he was creating you, there's a plan he had in his mind of who you are to become. But then crisis makes you not to meet that. So now that's where the concept of the spirit comes in. Now you go back to your faith. I respect every religion personally, and I don't coerce people into my religion. Okay. I use the biblical principles, or I use, because I'm a Christian. But of course, if someone, usually when you have trainings, I always ask them, attribute what I say to your faith. What does your religion say about you as a woman? What does it say about you as a man? What does it say about your physique? Because they do have, the Christian faith, there's a scripture, I think Psalms 139 verse 14 says, you're wonderfully and fearfully made.
In the image of God.
Yes, you're wonderfully and fearfully made. So I can affirm that based on what source says. God said so. I can believe it. So when you tell me something contrary, I can contradict and say, I know what God says about me. He's the creator, right? So these are very pertinent issues in becoming who you are. And if you have an identity crisis, you can never lead. You can't lead. You become competitive. You become emotional. I don't know if you've met these angry leaders.
Yeah, sure.
You find you can't resonate with them. And even in the Bible, God had to first fix people before using them. He meets Moses. Moses had crazy issues.
Yeah, anger issues.
And he meets Moses, and Moses said, I can't speak. That's the power of an identity crisis. It can crumble you to... I remember Moses was learned. He lived in the palace. He was a prince.
Yes.
But a prince says, I can't speak.
I'm a stammerer.
That's the power of an identity crisis.
Oh.
It can fold you to nothing. And it doesn't matter how far you've gone. It can always crop at any age. It doesn't have to be when you're 15. It can even come when you're 30, 40, 50. At any stage of your life, it can just come in. So that's where it is. Can you fix it first? If you're a leader, and most of times when I always say an angry leader is a projection of, is projecting. Like when you find someone who's angry, they're projecting that themselves on you. I'm angry with myself, but I'm pushing it on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you talked about the story of Moses. Like in this whole journey of accepting what's oneself, I'm picking something like building yourself. The thing just doesn't come naturally.
It's deliberate. It's a choice. You have to take a decision. You have to take a decision. You have to put the effort. You'll need to invest in material that is going to make you think a certain way. Like right now, I've been doing, I call it dieting in this book.
Okay.
I have diets that I do, and one is called the ENE diet.
What's that?
ENI's diet. I don't watch everything. There's a content, if I see it's going to affect me, my mental health, I'll push it away. If I'm hearing something that is likely to affect the way I think, I'm going to push it away. That's one of the diets. I'm trying to check my mouth. The M diet. That's a concept I covered in this book. But you need to have those dieting plans for yourself. You know, people do it for food, right? Eat a certain way, do this a certain way, but do it for yourself.
Wow, I see there is a lot in that book.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a very helpful material. We are hoping to publish it by next week.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a very rich material because it covers so much about what we've talked about. It's part of my personal life story. It talks about an identity crisis. It deeply goes into actually talking about patterns. Okay. And that's also something very crucial you need to know. I've always said that you can know how you're going to die.
Okay.
And how you're going to live, just observing your family pattern. Because we are like trees. We shed off.
Okay.
A mango will, 100 years will yield mangoes. And once you pick a mango from Arua and you plant it in another country, it will always be a mango, right?
Yeah.
So that is the same with human beings. We have been built in cultures. We have been built in spaces. And so if you don't deliberately work on yourself, then you're likely to become a victim. You know how it's going to end. Now, the people who step aside from their patterns, they're called alpha seeds.
Okay.
You're the first person who did something different in your family. For example, your family, it could have been a polygamous background, and you chose, okay, I'm going to be monogamous. I'm choosing one woman. Now, that's a trajectory. Now, every decision you take, as Sophie, the effect is up to 200 years plus.
Wow.
It's just not you. You're not living for you. You live for the future, for your children,
Obviously.
your great-grandchildren, your great-grandchildren.
To leave a legacy behind so that the people behind can benefit.
Exactly. And sometimes you live on the wrong legacies, which could be these other habits, the vices, you know. So anything you adopt, I don't care, even it could be as small as just in your family, no one drinks and you become
every action has its own consequences.
And you don't choose the consequences.
You don't.
That's what my mentor says. He says, you are free to make any decision you want, but you don't choose the consequences.
They will always come.
It comes on its own. You can sleep with anyone, but it's either gonorrhea or syphilis or HIV. You don't choose which one comes. They will decide. You get it. So that is the thing about it. So you could be an alpha seed. You start a new trajectory. And as you start this new trajectory, there are always things that arise to distract you. Now, an alpha seed, as this thing, for example, for Abraham, he chose, I'm going to be monogamous, one woman. They make Sarah barren. Now, that was a strategy to pull him back, and they succeeded.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed, in most families, it's the most responsible people who die faster. You've noticed it?
Yeah.
Most families, because they're alpha seeds. There are rules of how you guard yourself from that space. Because fate is already against you. And that's a concept in spirituality we look upon.
Okay.
So as an alpha seed, how do you guard yourself? What is the attitude? How do you protect yourself so that you don't become a victim of circumstance? Now, these are some of the things we covered in this book.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that. Then there's a concept of, we talked about the different types of souls. You know, there is a tepid soul. Now there is the stout soul. There is the freckle soul. Freckle is the baby soul. It's like a baby. Now, I always tell people maturity is not age. You could be 50, but you're yet a baby. Yeah? So a freckle soul is that baby. He's so young. He seeks answers. And so he does anything. He can't control himself. Okay. That's why I've always said when you are actually dating, more especially, you have to be very careful. Because a lot of people who are maturely grown, but emotionally or cognitively, they're still kids. Growth comes in different phases. It's just not the physical growth. For example, you could find, there are these partners who are competitive with their spouses. she's your wife, she got a promotion, you're jealous. Yeah, that he's not fully matured.
Yeah.
He's not fully mature. So that's the tepid soul. That's the freckle soul.
Now, besides the freckle soul, what else? You mentioned 3 of them.
There is a tepid. Now, the tepid is somehow you're already established. You already have a basic understanding of, let's say, the Word of God. You already have a basic understanding, but you're not fully developed. It's like a young adult, right? He's 18 years, fully developed. You look at their body, they have the, the physique as well. But emotionally,
they're still growing.
They're still young. So you could get in a relationship with them, but still doesn't make sense because they're childish.
Yeah.
So that is the tepid soul. Now these ones, when you look from a religious point, they're quite, they think the religion is it all. They want things to go their way. If it's not my way, there's no way. That's the tepid soul. Then there is a stout soul. Now that's a built soul. That one is it knows what it wants. Now these ones they have learned how to coexist with people, right? For example, I can come in a space here. It's just not me rubbing my faith on you. Can we coexist beyond my faith? It's not me coming to start putting other people down. By the time you learn to collaborate with everyone else, regardless of your status, you don't rub who you are on people, then you're a stout soul, you're developed,
and
you're mature.
Those people get absorbed easily.
These ones are actually very good because they're actually living purpose. Most stout souls are people who have they understand life, they've gotten to the point of fully self-worth, and they're building it better. Yeah. So those are the stages of one soul, how you can grab it.
All right. Winnie, one thing that got me interested in inviting you for this show is a post you made on Facebook. And in it you were actually talking about yourself, how you struggled, and as a dark-skinned girl, just the story you have been narrating here. And there is something I want to ask you here. What really inspired you in the first place to start speaking out? Because that was you who was being pressed down. But then after finding yourself, like, this is not really me, I am beautiful, something might have sparked it out that I have to so speak this out to people. What was your prior motivation?
The first was after I worked on myself. I wrote, I was able to think about book writing. I registered this company. Now all this came after this. Now these are things I didn't know existed within me. And I would have died with all these gifts God has put within me. The books, the conversations, there are a lot of people, I get a lot of
brain behind the company.
Yeah, and all these things would have been buried. Number one, had I found a very good man who loved me, right? Someone who loved me, then this would have been a daydream. Number two, I asked myself, how many more people are under the guise of such kind of struggles, killing the potential? There's so many people, right? There's so many dreams. There's so many things being, they're hidden because someone has an identity crisis. An identity crisis, I said, it just doesn't kill you. It's actually, I've said it's worse than cancer because it eats your dreams. Every day. For example, coming on a TV show like this needs a lot of confidence.
Yeah, you're right.
Being able to come to spaces like this needs a lot of confidence. But because I don't feel good in my body, I might not step into some of those spaces. There's so many gifted people out there. I remember talking to someone, I was sharing with them part of the initiative I want to do next year. And he said, do you know, I thought about that 4 years ago.
Wow.
And it now dawns on me how a lot of people have dreams. But due to 1, 2, 3 factor, they shut down.
Yeah, they don't get fulfilled.
Exactly. Their dreams are not fulfilled. And Dr. Miles Monroe, one of the persons I honor so much, he actually said, the grave is the richest place in the world. A lot of ideas and fulfilled dreams were buried. And so for me now it comes to how do we bring this out? And our programs, either way it cuts across, we just don't give it only to young people. So when you see me with young kids, you see me dancing. Then you meet me with the very old people, elderly, and I'll fit in anywhere. I think it's a gift God has also given me. Okay. Part of my training has been through such kind of things, you know. I've worked with the elderly, I worked with the young people, I worked in a school, I worked in, with children, and I was like, but God, why is my path not straight? But it's now that I realize it was for a time such as this. Yeah. I needed the diversity to be able to work with this. And so it's a great journey. We actually translate this same program also to young people in schools, in different institutions, and for them to first of all appreciate themselves. Number two, for them to project to the future. When I was younger, I didn't have an idea of who I wanted to be. Okay. I wasn't clear. But now we do have these conversations with the young people. And we are thinking to actually push it as early as primary. Can we have these conversations? There was a lady who invited me to talk to her kids of baby class. Wow. Middle class, top class, 2P3. And I was amazed because I was like, okay, look at such as someone with a thoughtful mind. And it was a beautiful experience. We did a lot of...
You said the age from 0 to 7. And that was the age.
Exactly, where the development happens.
Yes, where the graphs actually the
Exactly.
most.
And when I was interacting with them, I was like, draw for me who you want to be. And most of them were able to draw. Okay. Interesting thing was, there was a child who happened to be of a lady I know. And at one time I was like, oh, your daughter told me she wants to be a teacher. She's like, by the way, her dad is a teacher. And so you see how children replicate you. And they become like you. Okay. I always say sons become like their fathers. And daughters marry like their father. Wow. Sons become like their fathers, and daughters marry like their father. Look at your man. He's likely to bear your father's characteristics. In most, at least 80%. Okay, there could be 20% where you're saying, but 80% of the characteristics portray your dad's. Wow. Yeah. So that's why we do these conversations with young people, with different, and I'm more passionate about the more especially religious leaders, teachers. Okay. These are the greatest. These people impact so many lives. And if a teacher doesn't have the right mindset, or the religious leader, then just know there's a very big problem.
Yeah, and they can get to poison the mind of whoever they
Exactly. I was talking to one, I said, children become like their fathers. Now imagine being a parent with an inferiority complex. You hate yourself. How are you going to teach these kids to affirm themselves? How is a child, how are you going to bring a rhyme to say, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, dark skin and tall, you get it? How are you going to do that? You can't. Because there's an element within you that hates you. So can you go back and fix those things? And that's the Africa we need, where these things are fixed. And as long as your esteem is intact, the sky is the beginning.
As you had said before, that there is a very bright future.
True.
Yeah. And besides the book, do you have any other resources that you could recommend for someone?
Yeah, we do have, I do often write. Please, I encourage people to write. If you are Ugandan, if you are African, let's get into studying. Let's build that culture within our schools. And if you really, whatever work you're doing, can we choose to do it beyond, our physical gain for money? People, we always prefer to work for money. And I tell people money is a fruit. It's not a root.
It's a fruit.
It's a fruit. You can multiply a fruit.
Yeah.
Today when you look at the different agricultural, the improvement in agriculture, it's to increase the yield. I can increase money. It's not a root. But when you put money as a root, then you're in trouble. Okay. You're not going to serve with passion. You're not going to serve, you're not going to inspire people, you're not going to bring out the best in them. So that's why you first need to serve with love. And how do you always know? You will know people who serve with love. They always take an extra step. And they're recognized. The world always blesses them. God always blesses them regardless. So can we serve beyond that? And especially us, the black people, because the people we are serving are our own people. And if I choose to give less quality service, It's not for the other people, it's for my own people.
Okay.
Whether it's in the medical field, whether it's in the school, whether it's on the road, infrastructure. I don't care where it is, even here. When you choose to not build people, you're destroying your own people. And the bad part is, you become a victim of circumstance. If you're the only wealthiest person in your clan, what happens? They'll kill you.
I always say, if you're the only wealthiest person, that is yourself.
Exactly. And they will kill you, actually, because now they're going to steal from you. They're going to do everything else around you. Because they now think you're the one taking advantage, you're the one stealing our monies, you're the one doing this, you've done rituals. You can't live your life.
You're right.
Because people think that you have not built it. But can we get into service with passion? Yeah.
All right. West Nile TV, the real talk show. Embracing yourself beyond the looks is what we are talking about. And we are getting into the final segment of the show. Let's get a short break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Ekiki nsasula emyezi 3 n'empangula. Ha!
Abayo, kubadde ki?
Kituufu ensasula emyezi 3 mpangula. Kituufu.
Subscribe for 3 months to any package of your choice or grab an Azam TV kit and pay for 3 months and stand a chance to win life-changing rewards. Android smart TVs, fridges, motorcycles, and that is not all. You could walk away with free subscription or the grand prize of 20 million Ugandan shillings in cash. Yes, 20 million grand prize. Subscribe today and enter the draw. For more information, 031 2308 900 or visit any Azam TV dealer near you.
Azam TV, entertainment for everybody. In the dance of shadows and light lies the heart of Uganda's resilience amidst the challenges of the night, where innovation meets necessity and education refuses to be dimmed, where connection thrives in the absence of power. Embrace the power of the sun with StarTime's solar range of solutions and empower your journey towards a brighter tomorrow. StarTime Solar. Power your life.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back to the Real Talk Show at West Nile TV. If you have just joined us, I take this time to cordially welcome you and invite you to this show. And it is the final segment of the Real Talk Show, the 16th of November episode. And we are talking about embracing oneself beyond the looks. Now, I want to give a chance for our guest. First of all, you're welcome back. Thank you. I want to give a chance for our guest to give an overview of this topic, embracing oneself beyond the looks. Whatever you want to say to the audience, you are free.
Yeah, thank you so much once again. I'm so much excited and energized to be here.
Okay.
I think it's part of my dreams being fulfilled. Thank you for making it possible.
You're welcome.
Yeah. For me, one thing I think I will tell anyone out there is love yourself. The greatest love you can give
Out there is for yourself. If you do not have a perfect relationship with you, then the rest of the relationships will fail.
Okay.
For example, there are about 4 dimensions of relationships, right? There's one with yourself, there's one with God, there's one with other people, and there's one with the environment around you. And as long as the one with yourself has failed, the rest will fail.
Okay.
You can't have a good relationship with God if you hate you. That's why you need to go back and work on yourself. Can you go back and fix yourself? I don't know what it is. Of course, there are so many things. And so many people say, I don't have trauma. I told you, as long as no one told you, you're pretty growing up. If you were 5 siblings or 6, and then they always told the other one, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. And for you, you just never got it. Or else, if you've been in a space where you continuously got verbal, the verbal things of, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, that already shows that you're traumatized. Yeah. So can you go back and work on yourself? Can you go back and fix yourself? And then if you see yourself also struggling with habits, let's say you're continuously into substance abuse, you want to get out, that means there's something wrong. If you see yourself struggling with sexual issues, you can't control your sexuality, you do not want to do this, then there is something wrong. Can we go back and fix ourselves? Okay. Because all these are signs, even emotional outbursts, right? You're constantly mood swings, you're constantly angry, you can't explain yourself, and all these kind of things, these are signs of an identity crisis. Go back and fix yourself, because if you don't, you can bring out the best version of your world. I remember talking to an individual who told me that he fired his staff. Okay. Now, this staff was so weird. They tried talking to the staff was reserved. And he used to be a performer, but the performance deteriorated. And so he had to lay off this staff because he was dragging the organization. But after laying off this person, then he learned that this person had challenges, personal challenges at home. And he didn't know about it. And he had to restore back this person's job and help them fix that problem. So there are spaces where you find yourself, maybe you are you're with a colleague, or you are with any person, a HR, you do not know how to help people out of habits. And our programming could be of help to you. We can see together how can you help them, because they make you understand why people behave the way they do. And if it's not the right way, how can they fix yourself? So we do it individually. We can do one-on-ones, and we usually do online classes, by the way. Okay. More especially if someone is busy, we do per hour. Then we can also do group trainings for different people. Those are some of the different ways we come. But get to meet yourself. That is one thing I will tell you. I will tell anyone out there, get to meet yourself. That's when you can give the best version to the world. Okay. The world is waiting for you. It's waiting for you rising. The heavens are waiting for you rising. And do you know that people who will only rise until you rise? Yeah. Maybe in your clan, in your village, they just needed to see you step ahead. And if you keep being in this space of stagnancy, then you are stopping so many people from rising. So that's why you need to get out of this. If you get such information, it is to help you bring out the best version of who you are to the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Identifying who you are.
Exactly.
I have some questions here for you.
Okay.
The first one is from Laban Amazo. And he's saying self-esteem is key in life. You can actually get bigger when you build it positively. However, let the presenter discuss about pride and ego. Sometimes we mess them with self-esteem.
Yeah. Now, self-esteem is silent, right? You feeling good about yourself is silent. But pride and ego comes, it's so loud. Okay. It's so loud, you're trying to show people, you're better than them. So the pride or ego comes when you find yourself overriding other people. You start you underlook at some people. You see them, you're not my type, you're not in my class. And sometimes, yeah, someone could not be, but the fact that you don't have to rub it right?
To their face.
So yeah, by the time you're putting people down, you're underseeing people, making them feel inferior, then that's pride. That's not self-esteem.
Okay.
Yeah. So self-esteem should be able to restore. And I always tell anyone I meet that when you find yourself in a certain position, your role is to empower people. No one comes into your path by mistake. Nobody. Whether it's in a workplace, nobody comes. There's a role you're supposed to play in people's lives. Whether it's that border you carry, there's something you're supposed to do. So what are you imparting in their lives?
So
Yeah.
pride and ego looks down on people.
Exactly. Yeah.
And self-esteem impacts.
Empowers people.
Empowers. Okay.
Yes.
Zion Man Eric has a question. Hello, West Nile TV. Resourceful lady indeed.
Thank you.
How do you overcome these identity crises such that you are yourself? I wish I had more interaction with you. Thanks so much, Senior.
Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. There are simple ways you can get this. Number one, I talked about the healing program. Please do healing for yourself. That is the best way you can really get in depth into this. But number two, you can also start affirming yourself, speaking to yourself every day. I'm good enough. I deserve, you know. Those are some of the strategies you can do, speaking to yourself the right way. Then number three, I talked about the double E diet, right? What's that you hear?
The ear.
Yes, your ears and your eyes. What are those things you're hearing every day? So those could be some of the avenues you can try and avoid this. But the healing becomes the first thing so that it can help you regulate. Because remember, this voice is already loud. You're already living in an environment that was created when you're young. So you first need to reshuffle it. Of course, with these ones, with affirmations you can do. And affirmations always come with a lot of challenge. They challenge you. Your mind challenges you. But how do you handle that? So these are some of the things we discuss in our topics. And I think I'll be able to share my contact, maybe in case someone needs any help.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, we'll look at that towards the end, and then in case of anything, they can contact that number.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Actually, you will do that towards the end. And
It's okay.
Zion Eric is saying, how do you overcome generational family identities that tend to affect our day-to-day interactions and limiting our dreams to come true in real life?
Thank you, Zion. Now, generational things, you deal with it. Number one, you take a deliberate decision. You're going to be called an alpha seed, right? You've taken your decision, this is what I want, and I'm not going to change. Now, remember, there are forces that are always going to come. Now, that's why you need your concept of spirituality intact. You need to learn how to deeply embrace your faith. I don't know what, I think Zion, right? Zion should be a Christian.
Yeah.
You should be able to understand your principles. What does this Bible say? Can you have a spiritual relationship with Source or God, right? Just not religion. Now, there's this one where you're going to church every Sunday or once in a while. But there's that deliberate devotional time you're going to have. Because that's how you're going to overcome a pattern. Otherwise, these are already things set by history. They're stronger than you are. But when you build your spiritual being, then the insights are going to come. So get back and build your spirituality after taking a deliberate decision. But you should know distractions will always come, right? The mission is for you to go back. Every ancestry has its history. They know what they want. They already know how you're supposed to marry, how you're supposed to die, how well you're supposed to go. The bar is already set. So when you break the bar and you don't understand the principle, they'll put you down.
Yeah.
So that's why you need to get into these two spaces.
I like what you previously said, that go back to that junction where these thoughts started coming up from.
Exactly.
Meet that young self.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I believe it's from there that the whole mindset thing starts to change.
Yeah. That's actually part of the journey, going back to meet that younger self.
Okay.
You know. Yeah. And that's actually part of the healing process. Going back to that. But it's a very interestingly, sometimes hurtful moments.
Okay.
Because I remember when I was doing a session with one of my clients, and she took a week. Because she's like, every time I thought about it, it brought in a lot of emotional breakdown. You know, and so it took quite sometimes those are some of the things you go through. Yeah, so it's in depth, you know, in the programming we do. Yeah.
Okay. I hope Zan and Eric, your questions have been answered, including Laban as well. And yeah, the YouTube is there for you. The information is there. You can always go back to rewatch and find the whole information there. I believe there is someone who is actually struggling with this self-acceptance there. Now, what advice would you give this person?
You are perfectly you. We are being trained to use the yardstick of other people, right? Okay. When I'm looking at beauty, I have an idea. There is a Beyonce in my mind. There's a Rihanna in my mind who I've been told is the standard. And so every day I'm looking at this person, I'm trying to project myself, compare myself to her, but I'm not her. So when you're looking for Gala, she's here. Stop looking at any other woman in me. I'm perfectly me. So that's the only thing you need to start, understanding that you are not somebody else. It's actually my own quote, you are perfectly you.
You're perfectly you.
Yes. So you don't have to change to fit in people's ideologies. And the moment you take the step to change, you're a victim. And it's going to be a very hard decision to turn back. Remember I told you an identity crisis eats you slowly like a cancer, right? It's your body, the organs, internally. You can't really know. So it starts eating you in. So that's why you need to confront this and do a healing. I don't know how I can emphasize this. Do a healing for yourself. That's the greatest of all. It's going to liberate you from all this. Otherwise, your mind and everything is going to be your enemy. Yeah.
But the truth is, you'll not know that you have an issue unless you identify it.
Exactly.
And people trying to transform themselves, sometimes these things come even without them thinking about it.
Exactly. Because number one, we think it's normal, right? Now, skin transformation is just thinking, okay, I'm just changing my skin because it's a trend, but there's something within you that tells you you're not good enough. That's why you're changing. So that's how it begins. By the time you start thinking, sometimes it could also be as far as I told you, relationships, right? You could have just been from a broken relationship. You're jumping into the next without sitting down to reflect on, wow, what's up, what happened. You don't take time. Why you're seeking validation? So it's broad. It's just not this way. So that's why I brought some of the signs: emotional outbursts, you know, you're emotionally unstable, mood swings, all these kind of things, easily angered, that's already a sign. Struggling with sexuality, that's already a sign. You're looking at every woman and you think she's beautiful, that's already a sign. You're looking at every man, you're attached to them, that's already a sign. And I've said this, I said, when the day you meet a soulmate, every other person disappears from your eyes. But if you are a person with a body mate, the woman or the man you're married to, you're just attracted to their attributes, their money, their body, their wealth, or any other thing around them. You continuously see handsome men and women. But if you meet a soulmate, everyone else vanishes from your eyes. But that is the highest level. And I just hope we get to reach that highest level of meeting our higher self. Because when you meet your higher self, you become a father. Fatherhood is not a position. It's not a gender, but it's a position. Because you grow, you mentor. That's the highest calling in life, fatherhood.
Wow.
You become one. Yeah.
By the way, I just feel like sharing this story. Just some few days ago, I was talking to someone. You know, I told you that when I was growing up, Mom would say you're beautiful. Yeah, and that. So this guy would always tell me degrading things about myself, knowing that I will fight him. And just what you said, that when you continuously hear something, the thing actually gets into you. And the first time you can repel it, second time you can repel it, but as it keeps coming, your mind automatically wants to fit it in. And you can start having self-doubt. Is it true? Is it true? And obviously, when you start thinking it through, the mind will find something
To justify.
yes, to justify. So this person would say negative things about me. I used to fight it off, but just recently, I told him, you should stop saying this to me.
Exactly.
And when I said that, he told me that there is actually nothing wrong with you. But I wanted to know how long you can sustain your wife. How long you can sustain this. How long can you stand on yourself that you are this? Because I would say, I like myself, I love myself, nothing can take me back and all that. But then he came with a lot of pressure. I'm just seeing this like with the pressure the society sees. They will never see what you see in yourself.
True.
They will never see it the way you see it unless you stand up for yourself.
Exactly.
And this begins with identifying yourself, loving yourself.
True.
Yeah.
And anyone who tells you that the first time you don't blush it, it's a seed. Remember, seeds take days to grow.
Yeah.
Or it takes time to grow. Some seeds sprout faster.
True.
Some take time.
Yeah.
Now, for you whose esteem had been built, it's going to take time. But it will definitely break you. That's why if you can confront them head on, don't say that to me, it's good. But if they still continue, run. Now, a lot of men and women use that as a strategy to keep you embound to them.
It's actually a way of finding a vulnerability.
They make you vulnerable so that you can't stand up for yourself. He'll tell you, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly. I've never seen a woman. I love women with nyash. I love this. Now, that strategy is to put you down. You start feeling you're not worthy, so you're just going to sit in this relationship. Okay, I think no one will accept me. And women also use that as well. If I didn't accept you, who do you think would accept you?
Yeah.
So such strategies are just to put you down. And anyone who has hit your esteem has enslaved you for the rest of your life. You're the slave. And they're your master for the rest of your life until you break from them. And even if you break from them and you get into other relationship, this thing will still come back. Yeah. When you see something similar, it still tells you, I think. That's why now people conclude, I think I'm not good for relationships. Maybe I'm not qualified. Why? Because someone just started it like a joke. Do not play with body jokes. I always tell them, leave body jokes. Let's joke about other things, but let's not do the body shaming.
Yeah.
Let's not do the color shaming. Let's not do other shamings. Can we get to only other things? Can we joke about things that are replaceable? That don't hurt.
The jokes have to have limits.
Yes. So don't joke about. Like, there are things people can't change. You're telling someone they have a big head. Okay, they can't change it, right?
They can't.
Now what can they do about it? But you'd have crushed their esteem. Not only that, there could be people who have similar traits. I look at you, we have things that resemble. So by the time you're saying this to this person, it hits me as well.
Yeah.
Someone else is affected, the children are affected. So it's deep. It's really deep. It's just not about you. And I always say, never marry for yourself.
Okay.
Marry for your children. Marry for your children.
Now, I have another comment coming in from Chadribo Goffin. Okay, let me just get to read that in a minute as you give us your contact.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So, accessible, I think it's also on WhatsApp, 0778 762 999. 0778 762 999. It's also on WhatsApp. Yeah.
Okay, there you have gotten the number. Now, Goffin is saying, when we impress excellence, we empower ourselves. How do I do this in case the environment is against it?
I always say your first environment is your mindset. The first environment is your mind. Because whatsoever you allow to get in your mind becomes, right? Because you can sit in an environment where you said, I don't want you to do this for me.
Okay.
Don't do this to me. Don't talk to me this way because it affects my esteem. Now, that is already, you can create such kind of an environment where you guard people on how to get to you. Number two, it could be your associates. That's still also part of your environment. The people you're with, the circle of friends you keep, what conversations are you having? You know? So being careful with the conversations you have and in your circle can also help you change the environment. Okay. So if you find that of course, every time it's all about things that are not constructive, they're not building you up, then you need to leave. Because I always said, a joke, you can ha-ha for 1 minute. The next time the joke is no longer funny. You know, it was interesting the first time, the second time it's not funny. But you keep growing every day. Can you find people who build you up? And then finally, you can do now the location shift. You can go to another country, you can go to another space, you can go to another place where you feel you can be empowered. But remember, a lizard in Africa is a lizard in America. It's until you change here. Then it can affect the rest of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Goffin, our guest is saying that embrace that excellence, empower yourself. If the people are against it, change the environment. But remember, the first environment is you.
Yeah.
Do you have any final words?
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for the feedback. The family that has had my back, the Parliament of Confidence. I've seen Stella, I've seen Michael. These ones have had my back, and so many other people out there, Sharon, Lillian, Ruthie, all these people, they have had my back for so long. And thank you so much for always believing in me, because you know you always need those people who have believe in you, right? Yeah, and if you really need these books, you can also inbox me with that number. I believe it's a material that is going to help you. But finally, love yourself. There is no one like you, and there will never, ever be anyone else like you. You're I don't know what legacy you want to live in this world, but my legacy is to see an Africa beyond the body, color, and skin. Can you get that for yourself? And number two, I always say, dream bigger than yourself. Stop just dreaming for, I want to get married, have children. Can you dream greater than yourself? What is the thing you want to do for Africa? What impact do you want to create for the continent of Africa and the world at large? Because you are not limited. Stop living for yourself. There's a greater cause. Whether you're a boy, a girl, a woman, or man, at whatever age, there is hope every single day. Yeah.
Wow, at whatever age, there is
Yeah.
hope, so long as there is life.
Yes, there's life in your lungs, breath in your lungs, I mean, then definitely anything is possible. And tomorrow is another day, right? We keep pressing on. We just keep doing what we can do. And don't leave your world the same.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
There's a friend here in the name of Family Enrichment Hub.
Yeah.
And he or she is saying, Queen Gala, you are rocking.
Thank you. She is actually one of the persons in the Parliament of Confidence. And there we attribute titles, kings and queens.
Oh,
Anyone
I
there
get
is
where
called a
this
king,
is coming from.
and any person is called a queen. I mean, a woman is a queen, and the male is a king.
I look forward to having
Please,
her on
I'll
the show.
share the link with you.
I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Jethro is saying, it's nice to finally see you, my friend.
Nice
I am
to meet
blessed
you.
by your ministry.
Amen.
The Lord be
Amen.
magnified.
Amen.
And Jethro, before I came in the show, when I shared the flyer, he personally said I should greet you.
Thank you. Thank
Much
you
as
so much.
he hasn't met you, but he follows you. So you have a lot of impact in his life.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
I'm humbled.
Okay.